So I thought this time we'll do a series of practices together, touching upon a little bit of the philosophical foundation and going maybe a little more into details about some of the integrated practices. So Claudia, I know you're really familiar with all this material. So please feel free to contribute in whatever way you like. It's always a collaboration. And Angela has also worked through a lot of this material a few times. But I noticed the reason I chose this title, including the word Zen, which I don't usually do when I'm teaching, is because when I first came into the Zen community and started listening to sort of the Dharmic teachings of Zen practice, I really just continued to see the overlap with the teachings of Kriya Yoga of Patanjali that I had studied before. So I thought it would be useful to remind ourselves and to reflect on what these teachings are and how we sort of bring them into our lives. Because when I was working with someone earlier today, she noted that these practices, there's no discussion of different postures or different techniques or anything like that. It's really sort of an approach, a strategy, if you will, to how we live our lives. So there's just 3 aspects of Kriya Yoga. And I'll take these words from a few different sources and also my own insight. So the first of 3 pillars, so you can think of these 3 things as sort of a stool with 3 legs, that the 3 aspects of the practice of Kriya Yoga is intended to have these 3 aspects be in somewhat balance. Otherwise, the stool is not so stable. So the first listed in the teachings, at least the way that Patanjali lists them, is tapas. And Nishala Joy Devi, I liked her words that she used here. She called it igniting the purifying flame. And often this word tapas is translated as discipline. But because of the way our culture sort of approaches this word, I'm looking for other ways of expressing it. And so one of the ways that I find useful in thinking about this concept is the idea of cultivating presence. So tapas is like the opposite of a habit. So the habits we need in our lives, and we use them because they sort of become like a shortcut of moving through our days. The mind, the neurological patterns are there, and we can just move through and do what becomes a habit. That makes it a little easier. And tapas asks us to pay attention. And discipline, the way we often think of it, is one aspect of that. But when we change and intentionally choose to do something that's not habitual, it becomes an effort. It becomes like the root of the word tapas has an indication of heating or cooking or somehow transforming. So just this process of cultivating presence and paying attention is this one leg of the Kriya Yoga practice. Another leg is svadhyaya, which is dedicated self-reflection, often associated with relating to the ancient human knowledge or scriptures. So human beings for thousands of years have expressed their understanding of what it means to be human from all kinds of different perspectives. Another way of looking at this self-reflection is contemplating the relationship with nature. Like my Zen teacher said to me as I was asking him why, if I have spent a day in nature and I sit down to do a meditation practice, I notice that as my mind settles, the images of nature are a little more dominant as sort of the images of the day or whatever stimulus in my mind is flashing through. The images of nature sort of stick a little bit stronger. And he said, it's like being in a busy train station and hundreds of faces are there, and then suddenly you see the face of your brother. And there's something in you that goes, somebody you know. And so being in nature, he said, is like that. You're seeing a reflection of yourself. So more and more for me, this contemplating the relationship with nature has become part of my svadhyaya practice. And basically, this is the practice of sort of asking, who am I in the context of this human experience? So tapa svadhyaya, so cultivating presence, and also looking at my place in all of this. And then the third is longer word, Ishvara Pranidhanam. Ishvara is like a word that I'm going to translate as the mystery. It's like a godlike concept. So for those who have faith, there's a name that sort of connects with this concept. And what this aspect of the Kriya Yoga practice is being open to the mystery, or as Desikachar said, we're not the masters of everything we do. That this universe, this reality is much bigger, and all of us know as adults that we can't control everything. And so there's a concept within the practice of Kriya Yoga that not only do you recognize this, but you embrace it as part of this living experience. So balancing these three things are the concepts in Kriya Yoga that I also found in the teachings of Zen that pop up throughout the teachings as well. So basically, it's a strategy for balancing the perception and the choices we make within our life with this little framework. And more recently, I was reflecting on how this connects to what we know a little bit about behavioral science and the brain. And I was listening recently to a great discussion on the amygdala versus the prefrontal cortex. So the amygdala is the part of the brain that's been developed over centuries. You know, it's really the brain of our ancestors, the gifts of our ancestors that we've inherited, how we respond to the world sort of instinctually. So the reaction of the amygdala is very quick. You're not thinking, you're just responding based on how your brain was developed. And the prefrontal cortex is sort of this newer area of the brain that connects a little bit more with reasoning and organizing this information that's coming in. And so Kriya Yoga is a strategy for moving beyond sort of the pre-programmed part of our mind, of our brain, and learning and building the capacity to respond to things beyond sort of the ancient brain of our ancestors. So moving forward. And since the mind and body, I wrote this is one of the things that Leslie always said, Claudia, the mind and body are not connected. They're the same thing. So since we use the body and the breathing and everything in yoga, the reason behind that is because it is the same system that we're using. So using the movement of the body to stimulate the brain, the mind, and bring it in a direction that we would like to go. And at the deepest level, it's really deconstructing the roots of our thoughts and our actions, so that we may move through reactions to life based on, the fact that our ancestors were farmers versus livestock traders, and we may perceive the world a bit differently because of that. But through the practice of yoga, we can also look at how we are in this world today and be a little more mindful of how we move through the world. So that's sort of the main, these are sort of the foundations of what we'll sort of talk about in the next few weeks, possibly. And if something comes up, we can add something to it. But these are sort of the philosophical backgrounds. And then we'll start to do some practices that tap into the body and to the nervous system, so that we can then reflect on these ideas with a little more clarity. Okay, let's do a little bit of movement then. We'll come onto the hands and knees to start. So I wanted to focus more on the breath. So like we've done a few practices now with this more breath focused. So the movements will be simpler, but with more focus on how we use the breath. So let's just sit for a moment. You can sit in whatever way feels comfortable, chair or sitting down. I'm going to sit like this. So like we do, just feel the body. So again, even this exercise is a little in this direction of tapas, this noticing what's present, the sensory aspect of the body. And then begin to deepen the breath consciously. So whatever time of the day it is, just notice how your breathing feels this time of day. So those of us live are Wednesday afternoon, evening. Deep inhale, let the exhale be a little bit smoother and stronger. If you haven't already, engage the Ujjayi technique, the sound of the ocean in the distance. And so this stopping and breathing at the beginning, it feels to me often like as if the breath comes in and sort of washes out some of the things that are stuck in the body-mind from the day. So feeling sometimes if it's been a busy day, that there might be some tension, some tightness. See if as you let the breath become long and smooth, if some of that tightness gets a little more open. And then we'll start with a simple Chakravakasana. So just a couple of breaths. Inhaling, coming up. Exhale, moving down. And inhale, coming up again. And as you do the movement, let the inhale become a little longer, so the movement becomes a little slower. Exhale becomes a little longer. And see if you can find a comfortable maximum length of exhale or inhale, just for this moment. So through the sequence of movements, we're going to build up the length of the breath just a little bit. And just keep practicing integrating the movement and the breath so they coordinate together. Nice, gentle Ujjayi technique. Back is rounding on your way back, nice and slow and integrated. And then after your next exhale, in whatever way feels good, you just come to standing. So just take a moment, feel the weight of the body on the feet once again. Just a moment of awareness. Feel your posture. And now just standing, just take 4 breaths. Inhale, exhale, maybe something like a count of 6 in, count of 6 out. Whatever 6 can be 6 seconds or just 6 counting in your head. So inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just take 3 more breaths like that. The hands can just relax. Exhale. And if your count is a little slower or faster than mine, just do that. So just to sort of take attention with the length of the breath. So gentle, introducing gentle control of the flow of the breath. So just standing and breathing. Good. And then we just start to introduce the arms as you complete the last breath. Same idea. Inhaling. And exhaling. Next 3 breaths, inhale like you've been doing, and see if this time you can exhale just a little bit longer than the inhale. So if you count of 6, maybe this time 8. Or maybe just 7. And if you don't like the counting, then just go with the sensation. So the movement going down is a little slower than the movement coming up. Yeah. Complete your last round, and we're just going to extend the same movement, but now to Uttanasana. So inhaling the arms up. Again, that same deep breath. Exhaling long, slow exhale. Hands come to the floor, knees bending, head down, neck long. Inhaling back up. Then exhaling back down. Good. So just give attention. The movement down is a little bit slower than the movement up. Let's do 3 more like that. And see if that exhale can be even longer. Maybe even a short pause after the exhale where the belly's empty, empty, empty before the inhale. And the next time or so that you come down, we'll stay in the posture. Hands come to whatever variation feels comfortable. You can hold the elbows, hold the feet, hands on the floor. Just come back to the breath. Deep inhale, long, smooth exhale. Back of the body lengthening. Nice, smooth Ujjayi breath. And then as you finish your last exhale, slowly come back to standing. Take a moment, pause. And then let's take the feet wide apart. We'll do some twisting. So we'll twist on exhale. We've done this kind of movement before, so we'll work with the exhale in the space after exhale. So take the arms up, create that nice spiral with the shoulders, with the arms. Good. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, let's move the hand down. Pause here a moment. Take a breath. Look up, make sure you can see that arm above you. Exhale, looking down. And then come back up. So just sort of checking out the posture on both sides, finding the placement of the hand, exhaling down, staying a breath, inhale up, and exhale down. Okay? So that'll be the position we come to. So the next time we exhale, we're not going to stay a breath. We're just going to come down and then come back up. So take a breath in. Exhale nice and slowly. So slowing the exhale down. Pause here just a moment. See if you can, almost like you can twist a little deeper in that space after exhale. And then inhale, come up. Exhale, switch sides. Nice, slow exhale. Pause here. See if you can feel like twist a little deeper in the pause. And then inhale, come up. Again, come down to the first side. See if that pause can be a little longer, a little more spacious. Adjusting the twist. And then come up. Exhaling to the second side. Again, stay in that empty space. And back up. One more round, maybe a little longer. First side, keeping that space after exhale a little bit longer. And then coming up. Second side. Good. Holding that. And then back up. After you complete the second side, pause a moment. And then we'll just do 2 rounds on each side, but this time we'll try to move down in that space after exhale. Okay? So inhale the arms up. Stay here, exhale. Hold the breath out and come into the twist on one side. And then as you inhale, come back up. Stay here, exhale. Twisting in that space after exhale. And then whenever the inhale's ready to come, you come back up. And do that one more time on each side. So stand, exhale. Twist with the empty, empty, empty belly. Holding as long as it works. Inhale as it ends. Standing, exhale. And twisting on the open space after exhale. Holding as long as it's comfortable. Come up. Pause. And then let's just slide the hands down towards the floor. Let the knees bend as much as you need to. Head towards the floor. Hands either in the feet or somewhere on the floor. Just pause for a moment. Pasarita Padottanasana. The back of the body be long. The breath can be gentle or keeping the long, smooth Ujjayi breath going. So give the attention a moment to relax. And then we'll come down to standing on the knees. Just a transition of Vajrasana. So just a few breaths here. Standing on the knees, inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to the low back, sacrum, forehead down towards the floor. Inhale up. And back down. Up. So just letting the back round on the way down. On the way up, chest lifting, shoulder blades together. And then the next time you come down, we're just going to lie on the back. And come into a nice twist. So we'll take the arms. Arms out to one side. Let's take the knees up. So again, we're going to focus here on the exhale and the space after exhale. So as you exhale slowly, you're going to take the knees to one side. Pause in that empty space. And then when the body's ready, let the inhale come, let the legs come up. Exhale, twisting to the second side, nice and slowly. Pause after the exhale, hold the air out. When the inhale's ready to come, let it come. And just keep alternating. We'll just do about 4 rounds on each side. And let that space after exhale expand. And find that reflexive nature of inhale. If you like to keep count of sort of how long things are, each time I do the twist on one side, I'm letting that space after exhale increase by about a 2 count. So starting off with a 2-second hold, 4-second hold, 6-second hold, then an 8-second hold. And if you practice a lot without focusing on the point where the breath stops, just notice how it feels to practice in that silence where the breath stops. After you complete 4 rounds on each side, then just bring the knees up, holding the knees into a gentle Uttanasana. And then for completeness here, bring the feet down. Let's just do a little bit of Dvipadapitam, waking up the back muscles here. And let's just do a few rounds, letting the breath be more simple, so not focusing on the holding. So just inhaling up. Exhale, come down. Upper back first, and the mid back, low back. If you like, you can engage the arms, lift the arms up, or sweep the arms next to the body as you come up and down, or just let the hands simply be next to you. So just feel the spine lifting and slowly come down, one vertebra at a time. And then if you feel ready, just pause a moment. Stretch the feet out. If that feels okay for your back, just feel the body on the floor for a moment. And then from here, roll over onto the side and come to sitting. So I'm just gonna come and sit on the chair so I'm a little bit closer. So we're gonna do a little bit of breathing. Let me share the screen one more time. So depending on your personality, you can do this kind of practice with a metronome. If you've worked with a metronome for a long time, you might never want to hear a metronome again. so just the technique, I know you guys have done this before, but for anybody watching who's new to this, we're going to do each repetition about 4 times. And just a simple way to keep track is to keep track with the tips of your 4 fingers. So because your mind is going to be focused on tracking how long the inhale and exhale are. So this is a way to just remember which breath you're on. Breath 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'll talk through it, follow as best serves your body. So we'll just do 4 times, 4 rounds of the breath to expand and see how comfortable it feels. And then we'll do a pranayama technique with a ratio. So when you feel ready, take a breath. Maybe take 1 or 2 breaths just to sort of feel the inhale and exhale expand again. So now the body's just still and sitting. And then we'll take 4 breaths. 8 count inhale, 8 count exhale. So inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhaling in your own mind, count of 8. 2 more breaths like that. After the 4 rounds with 8 count, try a 10 count. Even if the count needs to speed up a little bit, see how you can do. So 4 rounds, now inhaling, count of 10. And exhaling, count of 10. The space between inhale and exhale is undefined. And so it's important here to find, especially if you've been doing this for a while, just find this rhythm again. And if this feels like a really big stretch for the breath, just find the balance between finding your limits and pushing too hard. So it should stay comfortable. The idea is each round we're just inhaling the capacity of the breath. After the 4 rounds with 10 count, let's try 4 rounds with 12 count. Nice, gentle Ujjayi technique. Finding expansion without pushing. After the 4 rounds of 12 count, then reduce it back to the starting ratio. Simpler breath. 8-second inhale, 8-second exhale. When we reduce the breath, we take a full inhale in 8 seconds, full exhale, 8 seconds. If this is easy for you, then you just breathe much faster. After you finish the 4 rounds with 8-second count, let the breath come back to a more natural rhythm. And just watching. And then we'll introduce this ratio. So it's the same idea. We'll do 4 rounds of different ratio of breath. So we have on my little map here, if you haven't seen this before, the first number is the inhale. The second number across is the suspension, the stopping of the breath. The third number across is the count for exhale. And the fourth number is that space after exhale. So the 4 parts of the breath. And we'll build up, as you can see, 4 rounds without any holding, 4 rounds with a shorter hold, 4 rounds with a little bit longer hold after exhale, and then the sort of goal, the sort of peak ratio we're looking at is inhaling 8 count, holding the breath in for 4, exhale 12, holding the breath out for 8. And then we'll come back to a more simpler ratio. So since we're counting and not using a metronome, each person's experience is going to be a little bit longer or shorter. So we'll begin together. And when you complete, just come back to free breathing. And since I can't hear you guys because of the technology, just bring the hands to the heart when you're finished. And then I'll know that we're all complete together. Okay? So again, keeping the posture up. You can use the simple counting of the fingertips. 4 times, inhaling 8, exhaling 12. So as you continue, just as much as possible, keep a steady pace of the counting. Let the breath between inhale and exhale be undefined. As you move through the first set, just notice the impact on your body. If it feels simple, or challenging, it will influence how we move forward. As always in pranayama, let the body, the sensations of the body guide you forward. If the first 4 rounds are comfortable, then try the next 4 rounds, pausing 4 count after inhale, after exhale. In the space after inhale, the throat is open, almost like you're continuing to inhale during that pause. Same thing with the hold after exhale. Empty, empty, empty. Throat is open. So lightness in the pause after inhale. Openness, openness in the pause after exhale. Jaw is relaxed. If you feel tension or holding of the teeth, you can turn the tip of the tongue, touch the palate of the mouth. If that felt comfortable, 4 more rounds, this time 6 count after exhale, a little bit more space after exhale. And if at any point your breath needs a break, just come to a natural rhythm and start up again as you feel ready. So the transition from each point of the breath to the next should be smooth and easy. No jerkiness, no jumping, no quick inhale. And then if you like, you can try the longer ratio. 8 count inhale, 4 count pause, 12 count exhale, 8 count pause. 12 breaths of that. Continue breathing. Notice the quality of mind as well. If the attention required for all the counting and everything begins to feel like too much or distract you or uncomfortable, just let the exhale, the hold after exhale become longer to a comfortable level before the inhale comes. Finding space after inhale, longer space after exhale. And if the numbers serve you, then continue using them. As you continue moving through the higher ratio, notice as you go through more breaths if it feels sustainable or if it feels like the edge of your comfort zone. So at any point, just rest. Otherwise, continue through to the 12 breaths. After you complete 12 rounds of that peak ratio, then let the breath come closer, a little easier, just to 8 inhale, 12 exhale, about 4 times. And whenever you come to the completion of this process, just let the breath settle down, everybody moving in their own space and time. And whenever you get to the point where you return to a more simple, natural way of breathing, I'll invite you just to stay there for a moment or two, or longer, depending on how you feel. And the quiet part where you stop the action is an important moment. It's just where you notice how your system responds. And I won't give you a predefined way you should feel after. Just notice how the practice impacts your system. Letting go ideas of good or bad, just noticing. More energy, less energy, comfortable, uncomfortable, tired, irritated, peaceful. And then when you're ready to come back to the movements of the body, you can come onto the floor or lean forward. Take care of the body in whatever way it feels comfortable to you. Make sure your back, your shoulders, everything feels comfortable. And then it might be useful to come into a resting posture from here, just for a moment or two. So come down. If your body needs a little bit of movement, if the shoulders feel tight, sometimes we can do weird things if we're just sitting and breathing. Just moving the arms or the neck or the spine. And then if and when you feel ready, just rest. And now no more breath control. Just invite the body to be still. As you lie here, just notice your awareness of the present moment, the sensations in your body, the quality of your thoughts, emotions, the gentle movement of breath. When you feel ready with this same quality of mind, come to sitting. And then just take a moment to sit here. So today we made more time for the structured breathing practice. But notice the quality of mind right now. And so if you find that this kind of practice quiets the mind a bit, would be a good time to sit and just watch. I always think of Zazen practice, the sitting Zen practice, as the watching mind practice. Just the watching practice. Just to be. So we'll end the together part of the session, and if you want to sit quietly, then now would be a good time. And you can sit all evening, all morning, whenever you're practicing. So thank you guys for showing up, and you guys who are listening later, thank you too.